Hi, I'm Todd Bartine with Archangelis Games, and we're here today to talk about how to play the latest release in our Pocket Game series, Pocket Hacker. In the first game in the series, Pocket Privateer, you were a pirate ship captain sailing around the Caribbean islands looking for treasure. In the second game in the series, Pocket Attorney, you played evidence, questioned witnesses, made objections, trying to win a trial. In Pocket Hacker, you're going to be doing something very different. In the future, everything is ruled by a tyrannical master AI system, which needs to be taken down, but at the start of the game, you're just not strong enough yet. You're going to have to complete hacking missions, buy more powerful equipment, stronger processors, more powerful memory, in order to build a system powerful enough to take down the master AI. But watch out, while you can hack various systems, even your opponent's system, there's always the chance of a backtrace, which may fry your equipment. Let's get started talking about how to play. Okay, in the Pocket Hacker game, your goal will be to hack first the Master AI firewall, but then the Master AI system. But you're not going to be able to do that right away. You're going to have to do some contracts first, some easier contracts, and you're going to have to buy some equipment. So let's talk about how to set up this game. It's fairly easy. You'll see that inside the mint tin comes a rulebook. This rulebook has an image indicating the basic card layout as well as the table layout for the game and the rules for how to play. Also, we've included a turn reference card to remind you of the various phases of each turn. First thing to do is to pick a hacker, and you have 4 to choose from. Each one have slightly different abilities. For the purposes of this demonstration, we will pick Doom Kitty, who can redraw once when checking for backtrace. We'll show you what that means. And we'll pick Cyber Reaper. Any cards he buys from the store go straight to his hand. We'll take the remaining 2 and remove them from the game. The next thing to do is to give each player their starting cards. Each player will receive 1 Initiate Hack, 1 Job Search, 1 Data Sniffer, 1 Backup Drive, 1 Decoy File, 1 Proxy Server, and 2 Credits cards used to buy things in the store. Next, place the Master AI system underneath the Master AI Firewall card and order the contracts by number in the top left corner so that the number 1 is on top, followed by 2 through 10 in order. The last thing to do is to create the store where we'll buy our equipment. You'll see that quite a few cards say store at the bottom. Shuffle these and then deal out 5 face up. These are going to be the first pieces of equipment you can buy from the store. What you'll be trying to build is a powerful computer deck, and that will consist of, if we look at these cards, they're color-coded, a network card, a memory card, a processor card, and a security card. It should be noted that you can buy more than one of these and replace them as you play. All right, so our store is ready. Our Master AI, our contracts, and our hackers, and both players have their starting hand of cards. We're ready to play. There are 2 key concepts to all Archangelis Games Pocket games. The first one is the rule of 3. If ever, at the beginning of your turn, you look at your hand and you have less than 3 cards, you take your entire discard pile back into your hand. And each turn, you must play or discard at least 3 cards. It doesn't matter whether you use the card for its ability, or you spend it, for its credits amount in the bottom left corner, you have to either play it, spend it, or discard it, and it must be exactly 3 cards per turn. The last thing that is common in all of our pocket games are the discard rules. At the end of your turn, looking at the cards that you have played, spent, or discarded, all cards must be discarded to the appropriate pile. If the card says starting on the bottom, it is always discarded to your discard pile. If the card says store on the bottom, it is discarded to the store discard pile. If the store pile ever runs out, shuffle the store discard to make a new store pile. As we start to talk about how to play, let's look at the actions that you have available in your starting hand. You will have 2 credits cards. On your turn, you can play these to buy equipment from the store. You can see each of these is worth 2 credits down in the lower left corner. I would simply discard these, find a card in the store that I can afford to buy, adding these to my hacker's total. She has an income of 3. If I played both these credits cards for 2 each, that's a total of 7 that I have to spend in the store. I could say by this dark web VPN relay, putting it in my discard pile, it'll show up in my hand later, and then replacing it from the store pile. All cards that have a value in the lower left corner, instead of being used for their ability, can be discarded to generate that many credits. Another ability that I have is to play my data sniffer card, which allows me to view the top store card and to either replace one of the items in the store with it or discard it. So for example, I could draw this card and then replace one of these cards in the store row, moving that card to the discard pile, or I may choose to discard this card. Another ability I have is to play my job search card. The job search card allows me to take a new contract. New contracts are a good way of getting enough money to buy the most expensive computer opponents. I would simply play this to my discard and take the top card of the contract pile, placing it in front of me near all of my gear. That's now a job that I can try to complete. You also have some cards to protect you from attacks. This one is Backup Drive. I can discard this to prevent a device from being fried. So on my turn, I would play it to a device, and if this device is ever going to get fried, I'll explain how that happens later, instead of frying the device, I can get rid of the backup drive, and the device is safe. Another card I can play in front of me is the decoy file. I can place it in front of me, and if ever somebody tries to fry one of my devices, I can flip it and redirect it to any of my other devices. So I might choose to have it fry this device instead of my more expensive device. Flipped cards have no effect until they are unflipped again. Another card that works similarly is Proxy Server. On my turn, I can play Proxy Server in front of me, and I can flip it at any time to redirect a backtrace to my opponent. And again, when we're talking about performing hacks, I'll explain how backtraces work. But this allows me, instead of taking the backtrace myself, I flip this card and I redirect it to my opponent's gear. And the last card is Initiate Hack. And by playing this card, I can either hack my contract that's in front of me or my opponent. And in a second, we'll talk about how that hack occurs. The way you're going to win this game is by hacking. You will hack contracts that you've drawn from the contract pile in order to get more money to buy better equipment. You'll also hack your opponent to slow them down, and eventually you will hack the Master AI firewall and the Master AI system. Whoever first hacks the Master AI system wins the game. In order to hack a job or the master system, you need to look down here at its power. This one, the data salvage job, only requires 6 power. In order to figure out how much power I have, I look at my hacker, and you can see that she by herself has 5 power. And then I add my equipment. In this case, I clearly have more than enough power to hack this job. So I would play my initiate hack card to my discard pile, and I would initiate the hack against this job. I would add up my hacker's power plus the power of her equipment, and if it is greater than the power required by the contract, I succeed. And this goes to my discard pile, and later I can spend it to buy valuable items from the store. Now, whether I'm successful or not, I need to draw for backtrace. Okay, so once I've determined whether it's successful or not, I need to draw the top card of the store deck to see if there's a backtrace. What I'm looking for is the type of equipment, in this case security, and its power level, in this case 5. If I have a piece of equipment that matches type, which I do, I have a security piece of gear, and the power on my gear is less than the power of the card I just drew, this card is fried. Fried means removed and sent to discard. So I'm about to lose this equipment. Now, if I had played my backup drive, okay, I could instead discard the backup drive, and this equipment would not get fried. But I have some other options too. I have my decoy file. I could flip this to redirect it to a different device. The Neural Synth processor is a much cheaper piece of equipment. Maybe I'll fry that instead. Or I have another option available to me, which is instead of flipping my decoy file, I could flip my proxy server and redirect the fry to my opponent, in which case we would look at their security card. This security card has less power than the card drawn, so it's going to get fried unless it has a backup drive or this player wants to flip their decoy file or proxy server. If fried, it goes to the discard pile. Now, when attacking a player, when I try to hack them, it works a little bit differently. I'm going to total my power for my hacker plus my equipment, and then they're going to total their power, their hacker, plus their equipment. Okay, and whoever has a higher power total wins that hack. Okay, if I win, I have a choice. I can either flip one of their pieces of equipment or unflip one of mine. So for example, I might choose to flip their nanite overclocker chip. Okay, or I might choose to unflip my proxy server. But I have to either, having won the hack, I either flip one of their pieces of gear or I unflip one of my cards. If they win, nothing happens, the hack ends, no cards get flipped or unflipped. But regardless, I need to check for backtrace, the same as I did when hacking a contract. In this case, I pull this up, I do have a network card, but my network card is more powerful than this, so this is simply discarded. Hacking the master AI firewall works the same way as hacking any other contract, as does, after the firewall's been hacked, hacking the master AI system. And whoever hacks that system wins the game. Let's play just a couple of turns so we can see how this goes. You can see Doom Kitty has her decoy file and her proxy server out, and 3 pieces of gear already at this point in the game. The Cyber Reaper has 3 pieces of equipment, but has not played their decoy file or proxy server. Perhaps they've been using them as currency in earlier turns to buy more powerful equipment. It's Doom Kitty's turn. Remember, rule of 3, she can play 3 cards or discard them. First card she's going to play is Job Search to draw a new job, which she'll put here in front of her. And then let's see. We have 2 credits cards, so that'll give us 4 credits, plus her 3 credits gives us 7. Do we have enough to buy this? No, this costs 8. And this costs 8. Okay, so that's not enough. We can't do that this turn. Let's see. Oh, one thing we could do is play Data Sniffer. This allows us to look at the top store card and replace or discard. Maybe we'll find something more affordable. And we did. This card only costs 6. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to remove a card from the store and replace it with that. Okay, we have a problem. We can afford that card, but we've played 2 cards. We can only play 1 more. And if we play just 1 credits card and added it to her, we'd only have 5 to spend. This card costs 6. So in the end, that didn't really help us. But look, we have some equipment in our hand that we don't need. It's a network card, but we already have a better network card. Okay, so let's use this like money. It's worth 6. Now remember, it's a store card. It gets discarded to the store discard. So that gives us 6, plus her 3 is 9 to spend. So we could actually buy this memory card, and we don't have a memory card. Now we can't play it to our gear right away. Remember, when you buy things, it goes to your discard. Later, it'll turn up in our hand, and we can play it in front of us. All right, so our turn is over. Now, it's our opponent's turn. He's going to play Job Search also and draw the next job. This job requires only 9 to complete. We might already have that. We do. If we add his power to the power of all of his equipment, we have more than enough, so we could go ahead and play an Initiate Hack. We're going to play that. We've got enough power, so we win this contract and it goes to our discard. And that'll show up later in our hand and we can spend it. But we've just completed a hack. We have to check for backtrace. It's a memory card, and it's more powerful than the memory card we have. Okay? We don't have a backup drive on it, and we don't have our decoy file or proxy server out. There is nothing we can do. Our resonance memory matrix just got fried. Okay, we took a chance. We didn't have any safeguards in place, and we lost a piece of gear. I have one more card I can play. It's a little late, but let's go ahead and put out our decoy file. Okay, so that won't happen again. We can, with our decoy, we can at least redirect one fry to another device. Okay, and this player's turn is done, and we're back to Doom Kitty. She only has 2 cards in her hand, and if you have less than 3, you pick up your whole discard. Okay. Oh, look, here's that memory card we bought last turn. We can do that now. We have 1 each of all 4 types of gear. Now, this gear is probably not going to be good enough to win the game. Some of this gear is pretty cheap, so we're going to need to keep upgrading it. When we buy better gear, we'll just replace this item, and this item will be discarded. Okay, so if we eventually get a better memory gear, better processor, better security, better network, this card will go to the store discard and we'll replace it with that better card. And doing it that way, we'll get stronger and stronger, and eventually we'll be able to beat the Master AI.